Couple, and after championing the work of many authors in their TV book club, Junie Finnegan has written her own novel, of course, and it's out on paperback today. Eloise is out today. It's so lovely to see you.
Thank you, and it really always is, both of you.
Yeah, nice to see you.
Reading the book, I want to go to Cornwall.
Oh,
I really
You've never been?
should. I've never. I'm sorry to say that I've
It's
never been.
beautiful.
Isn't that outrageous?
Yeah.
Outrageous.
no, it's not, because you obviously have to go up to Scotland all the time. You don't go down the other way.
But I got such a feel for it through your book.
Yeah.
You know, I just really wanted to be there and experience it. It's
I love it. We both love it. And we spend as much time there as we possibly can. It means a lot to us. It was the first place we visited when we first got together as a couple, and I had two little boys from my first marriage. So it's our first holiday. We decided to rent a cottage in Cornwall, and we went down there. It was 1984, can you imagine? And we had the most glorious week. The weather was it was just like a blessing. It was just so fantastic. And we fell in love with it, really, basically, and we've been going back, renting cottages and things ever since. And about 14 years ago, we bought our own house, so I love it. Love it to bits.
Is that where you write? Did you write the book there?
Yes, I did, yeah.
That makes it, I can completely understand why you did. It's very ghostly, very haunting.
Yeah, supernatural.
You know?
Well, there's something about Cornwall that is quite elemental. It's very beautiful and everything, but it's very, very ancient. There are so many ancient standing stones, and the Romans never actually got to Cornwall because of the Tamar, the River Tamar that divides them. And so Cornwall is almost like a separate country, and it has retained that feeling of otherness. Not, you know, there's major beach resorts like Newquay and everything, but inside Cornwall and in the moors and on the smaller coves, it does feel like a different country. And it's very... You can believe that ghostly things would happen there. You know, it's where Daphne du Maurier wrote Rebecca, and we live, our house is very close to Daphne du Maurier country, and she really inspired me, actually, to write. She really captures Cornwall, and I wanted to do the same thing. It's mysterious, and it's beautiful, and I don't know, it's quite odd in many ways, but it's lovely.
No ways.
So tell us the idea behind the book, then.
Well, Eloise has actually died when the book opens. She's died a couple of weeks before, and she's been buried. And she's a young woman who has died of breast cancer, which was perfectly expected. She's only in her 40s, and she's left behind two little girls, twin girls who are 5, and a husband. And the main character in the book is not Eloise, it's Cathy, who is her best friend. And after Eloise dies, Cathy is obviously extremely upset, but more than that, she begins to get dreams. She begins to have all sorts of dreams and odd experiences of Eloise trying to get through to her from beyond the grave. And Eloise is trying to tell her that something's terribly wrong, basically, that although she was expected to die of breast cancer, it's not quite what it seems. And what's more, she's terrified for the safety of the two little girls she's left behind. And Cathy can't understand what's going to happen to them, but she just knows that she's been given the responsibility of saving the girls and finding out what really happened. Trouble is, Cathy's got a history of sort of depression and mental sort of general fragility, and nobody believes her. Obviously, everyone thinks she's just going balmy. You know, she's just being haunted by her dead best friend. So it's a kind of ghost story, but it's also a thriller.
It is a thriller. There's lots of twists, lots of turns. But we don't want to give away.
No, we don't. No,
we
of course
absolutely don't
not.
want to give away. And you always say, write what you know, and you did base it on people that you knew.
Well, the kernel of the idea was certainly inspired by what happened to our lovely friend Karen Keating, who died of breast cancer when she was only 41, leaving two little boys behind. And certainly I thought it was absolutely... And she also had a house in Cornwall, so we used to spend an awful lot... So I associate Cornwall very much with Karen. We used to spend a lot of time there on the little beaches and coves with the kids. And when she died, it was devastating, obviously, even though we all knew that she was ill and it was coming, but it was still devastating. And I couldn't get her out, especially when I was in Cornwall, I couldn't get out of my head the sheer tragedy of the idea of a woman dying so young and leaving a young family behind. I mean, it's every mother's complete horrible nightmare, you know, well, when you've had a child, will you kind of, oh my God, am I going to die in a plane crash, and who will look after the child, and all the rest of it. And I got this kernel in my head about the story of maybe someone who did die like that, but who was so passionate about communicating about the safety and future of her children that she could communicate from beyond the grave. In other words, it's a kind of mothering instinct, a kind of mother love, which is so passionate,
so powerful.
Death can't defeat it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
She believed in angels, didn't she? And the fact that they came back to Earth in the shape of a feather.
That's right. Karen did believe in angels. She really did, and we used to tease her about it, rotten. But she believed that if you found a white feather, it was a calling card, basically, from your guardian angel, a little white feather. And it was very extraordinary. I mean, after she died, so many of us, her friends and family, found white feathers in so many different places where you wouldn't expect to find them. I mean, I know that whenever somebody close to you dies and you're grieving, you do tend to read into things. You see signs, you know, in probably what is a perfectly ordinary thing. You think a sign, but it was extraordinary how strong Karen's presence was. I have to say, though, that although the kernel of the idea and the idea of motherhood and early death came from my experience of what happened to Karen, the book is pure fiction.
Yes, of course.
I mean, you know, Eloise isn't Karen, and you know, it's but it certainly
it's
the
a great
emotion.
read, though. It's a great read, Judy. It really is. And you don't miss this at all, this telly nonsense, do you?
I'm sorry, I don't. It's really hard. I feel almost ungrateful when people ask me, because I have had a great time, you know, on telly, a great career and all the rest of it. But it's like, as Richard said the other day, I mean, it's kind of like sometimes you need to turn over in bed, you know. You just need a change. Over there, isn't he? Yes.
He is, yeah.
You just need a change. And much as I loved it, we'd been doing it day in, day out, like yourselves, but for many, many years. And I wanted some time for myself, because it is very time-consuming, as I'm sure, and I'm sure, Aled, you've found out by now as well. I mean, it dominates your life, doesn't it? Which is fine, but there comes a point where you think, no, I want to change direction. I want some more time, I want to spend more time with the family, and I want to write.
And you're writing more, aren't you?
Yes, I'm
good.
going to start the next one soon.
Excellent. I'm glad to hear it. I'm glad to hear it. I've talked to you all day.
And she's a grandmother now as well.
I am.
No,
I am.
congratulations.
She's 4 months old.
Oh, congratulations.
Ivy, she's called. She's so beautiful.
Wonderful.
In fact, she's coming tonight. She's coming. I'll see her tonight.
Oh, brilliant.
Brilliant.
She'll be spoiled.
You enjoy your time
Quite
with
right
her.
too. And give our love to Richard.
Nice to see Richard.
Thank you very much.
Great to see you. Thank you. Right, let's have a look at the weather with Alex.
Hello. It's going to be fairly settled over the next few days. Let's take a look at the details.
Daybreak National Weather, in association with Topps Tiles. Brightening your home, whatever the weather.
Well, this morning we've still got a fair bit of cloud across much of Scotland, some light and patchy outbreaks of rain, and also a similar story down across the far south of England. But everywhere else in between, we will begin to see the mist and fog patches beginning to lift and the clouds breaking up. And as we go through to this afternoon, it's not looking too bad at all, particularly through the central swathe of Britain. Some really good spells of sunshine developing out towards the west. The sun may be a bit hazy from time to time, but across Scotland, I'm afraid, it's always going to be staying on the cloudy side, and also down across the far south of England. But temperatures will respond, especially where we do have those sunny spells, up to around 9 or 10 degrees Celsius. In fact, that's just above average for the time of year. And then going through to this evening and tonight, we'll begin to pull in an area of cloud off the North Sea. So for much of England, it becomes quite cloudy, outbreaks of rain. For Scotland, it stays dry. Similar story for Northern Ireland, but all round temperatures doing better tonight with the cloud cover, holding up above freezing, lows of 1 or 2 degrees.
For your local 5-day weather update, go to our website, itv.com/daybreak.
Thank you very much to Alex. On tomorrow's show, former Boyzone and Corrie star Keith Duffy joins us before taking to the stage in Let's Dance, Brave Man, for comic relief.
And after the break, drama, dresses and decisions. We're lifting the lid on one of the UK's busiest wedding dress shops, and he's the man behind Bridget Jones. Writer Richard Curtis joins us to celebrate a very personal milestone.